For a moment, imagine a massive building standing right in the middle of a city. Outside, it boldly says it is the headquarters of a notorious criminal organization. And inside, the people are openly running their network without any fear. No fear, no hiding. It sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? Because for us, crime always means working in the shadows. But there are places in the world where everything is completely the opposite. Where criminals don't hide. Instead, they openly live with their identity. This is Japan, and this is the story of the Yakuza. Welcome to this unusual system of Japan, where a group called the Yakuza has survived for years. It is not just a gang, but a powerful system. They have their own offices and their own rules. Sometimes their presence is so open that even ordinary people recognize them. But the question is, how is this possible? In a country with strong laws, how does such an organization survive? And almost in a legal way. To find the answer, we need to go back in time. The time is after World War II. In 1945, Japan collapsed. The balance of global power began to shift. On one side, the USA. On the other, the Soviet Union. A Cold War began between these two powers. During this time, Japan became strategically important. America feared communism might spread in Japan. To stop this, instead of direct intervention, they used a local force, a criminal organization. And that organization was the Yakuza. But what exactly is the Yakuza? Where did they come from? Why did they become so powerful? To understand this, we must go even further back. Japanese society was strictly divided into classes. At the top was honor. At the bottom was struggle. At the very bottom were people who were never even given an identity. They were neglected, ignored, and pushed aside. But to survive, they created their own path. From this path, two groups were formed: Tekiya and Bakuto. One dealt in street vending. The other controlled gambling. Slowly, they began to gain power. They were not just gangs. They created a system where loyalty, honor, and relationships mattered most. This relationship was called Oyabun-Kobun, meaning a parent-childlike bond. Breaking rules meant severe punishment. This punishment was called Yubitsume, cutting off one's little finger. It was a sign of apology. Their bodies were covered in large tattoos, known as Irezumi. Every tattoo had meaning. Dragons, tigers, samurai, all symbols of strength. In this way, the Yakuza became more than a gang. It became a system. In 1995, a massive earthquake hit Kobe City. Within moments, the city turned into ruins. The government tried to respond, but the situation was overwhelming. And then something unexpected happened. The very organization people feared, the Yakuza, was the first to step in. They filled trucks with food, water, and supplies and went out to help people. No publicity, no announcements. They simply helped. Yes, throughout history, the Yakuza has stood beside people during natural disasters. And now the question becomes even more complex. Are they really just criminals? Or is there something more beneath the surface? This contradiction is what makes the Yakuza so mysterious. On one side, they're involved in crime, extortion. On the other, they help people in times of crisis. Society can neither fully hate them nor fully accept them. But there is another side to this story, one that is far more real and far more harsh. In 1991, the Japanese government made a major decision, the Anti-Yakuza law. Through this law, they began putting direct pressure on the Yakuza. Their bank accounts were shut down. Their businesses were restricted. People were encouraged to avoid any connection with them. Slowly, their power began to decline. Where once they operated openly, now they faced constant constant obstacles. Where they once had influence, the law now stood firmly in their way. And the most surprising part, despite all this, there was no major retaliation, no large-scale war, no violent uprising. Instead, they slowly stepped back because they understood something important. This was not a battle of strength, but of systems. And when an entire nation stands against an organization, no matter how powerful it is, eventually it must fall. Even today, the Yakuza has not completely disappeared, but they are no longer what they once were. Their open presence, their dominance, is slowly becoming history. A group that once rose from the shadows and influenced an entire society was ultimately pushed back by that very society. Yes, this is the story of the Yakuza, a gang and a system, a beginning full of mystery and an ending that fades away in silence.